You know what? Maybe it wasn't the Bengals news we've been expecting. Maybe it wasn't a player that fans who aren't close to the Bengals will necessarily care about. But you know what? It was a player that Bengals fans love, and it is great news for us. I'm super excited to talk about this guy getting his extension. Stay tuned to find out what I'm talking about. What's up, everyone? It is Josh here from No Buts About It. And today we are going to talk about a Cincinnati Bengal who has received his contract extension. And no, it is not Jamar Chase. It is Center Ted Karras. Now, if you are not a Bengals fan or you're not an AFC North fan, maybe you're thinking, okay, center, maybe not that big of a deal. Maybe you're thinking, who the heck is this guy? We've never even heard of him. Well, I am here to tell you that this is a great signing for the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals, while they were extending Ted Karras, they also did take the time to sign second round pick Chris Jenkins, which big deal. I love Chris Jenkins, but this video is primarily going to be about Ted Karras. We will talk about Chris Jenkins another time, but this is the guy, number 64 up front, protecting Joe Burrow, that we want to be talking about most of the time today. And I love this signing. First of all, this was something that I knew Ted Karras was going into his final season as a Bengal, and he was someone who I already knew next offseason I was going to be worried about. He's 31 years old right now, and the Bengals, there's that trend. They don't like to extend people over the age of 30. And so there was some worry. Maybe he doesn't come back. Maybe he retires. Maybe the Bengals just move on from him. There were a lot of factors at play. But the Bengals have already said, they've already eased my thoughts, and they are extending him. The numbers aren't out yet. The news of the extension actually came out as of me filming it 5 minutes ago, and Adam Schefter tweeted it. So this is some big news. He also mentioned, again, Chris Jenkins, the rookie, was extended. He'll get his own video, though, because I am a big fan of him. I do want to talk more about him. But if you are maybe you're just a casual Bengals fan, and that is fine. Maybe you haven't taken the time to learn the non-superstar players, your Joe Burrows, your T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. Maybe you just don't know the guys on the offensive line. Ted Karras is where it starts. He is the center of that offensive line. He's a great leader, which is so important to have, because the Bengals just drafted this guy in the first round, Amarius Mims. And we've talked about it before in the Bengals prospecting video I did. Amarius Mims is either going to be a huge bust, a draft bust, or he is going to end up being the best player in this year's NFL draft. I don't see there being any in between with the amount of potential this guy has, but lack of experience as well. I go more in depth in that on my Bengals draft grade video. Ted Karras will be able to help him out. Ted Karras has been with the Cincinnati Bengals since the 2022 season, when he was signed along with Alex Kappa in free agency after that Bengals Super Bowl loss that we don't really want to talk about, but was definitely caused by an offensive line that Karras and Kappa were both not a part of, and the Bengals decided they needed to bolster that. Karras was one of the first people they added, Kappa as well. Karras just brings so much to this team. Like I said, you have Amarius Mims coming in who can learn from him on that O-line. But he is not the only major signing that the Bengals made this year. The Bengals looked to upgrade at that right tackle position over Jonah Williams. And Jonah Williams was serviceable for a while, but it was getting to the point where he was getting beat on big plays. So the Bengals went into free agency and they signed Trent Brown. And Trent Brown has those injury issues, of course. We don't know how long he'll last, but he will likely be the week one starter with Amarius Mims being right behind him. But we've got those big 6'5" guys on either side of Joe Burrow now at the tackle positions. Ted Karras is leading the charge on that line. Just He's such a great guy. I mean, first of all, you can just tell the players love him. Anytime an offensive lineman becomes well known within a fan base, you know that they're a great guy. And Ted Karras is no exception at all. His campaign with Cincy hat for the Village of I always get this wrong. Village of Marici. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. I have tried millions of times to pronounce that right, but I get it wrong every time. Village of Marici. They do a ton of great work for people with special needs and their families. So make sure to check them out as well. But Ted Karras does a ton of work with the Cincinnati community, and he has become a very loved player in the Cincinnati community because of that. And that love of Cincinnati has transferred onto the field as well. You can tell it in his play. I mean, look at these PFF grades from Ted Karras. This is his 2023 season stats. He had 1,075 offensive snaps played, which, by the way, Ted Karras has never not. That's a weird way to put it. What I'm trying to say is Ted Karras has started every game that he has been in Cincinnati. This guy is consistent even at the age of 31. One penalty last season. He's disciplined. That is amazing. He has 6 sacks allowed. Now at the center position, maybe that's I don't want to put all the blame on Cordell Volson, left guard. I think some of these sacks are part of Cordell Volson having trouble blocking on that left side. Can't put them all on Ted Karras. Can't put them all on Cordell Volson. But PFF is saying that 6 of them were Ted Karras' fault. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. But still, 6 is a pretty decent number when you consider the defenses that the Bengals went up against last season. Very, very respectable grades at the center position, which, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is the second or third hardest position to play in football. Quarterback, I'd put it number 1, and then I would say either defensive back or center is the hardest because center controls the entire pace of the O-line. They control the snap. They have to recognize defensive movements, blitzes. There's so much they have to do. Quarterback also has to do a lot of those things as well, but it requires such a high level of athleticism, a high level of football IQ. It is a hard position to play. And I think Ted Karras does it very well. He's done it very well the last 3 seasons on a Bengals O-line that has struggled. And now he said, hey, look, I believe we now have the pieces in Cincinnati to get this thing done. You guys got close in 2021. I'm here now. Mims is here now. Trent Brown is here now. We've got this O-line thing figured out. Orlando Brown Jr. is here now. They're ready to go. Joe Burrow's ready to go. T. Higgins, sign your franchise tag. Jamar, get extended. We're going to the Super Bowl. That's what Ted Karras is saying. And he said he wants to get this done for Mike Brown and the Brown family because their family has been a part of the NFL for so long and they need a Super Bowl. They need a Lombardi trophy in the family. Ted Karras' family has also been in the NFL for a long time. Both his dad and his grandfather have Super Bowl rings. So him getting one is also something I'm sure he is very passionate about as well. But I really, really didn't think he was going to get extended. It wasn't because I thought he was bad. I was really worried that 30-year age thing with the Bengals would get in the way. Um, I mean, they've let guys go that you thought would probably get re-signed and just move on. Now it's only a 1-year extension through 2025. Of course, that's true. And I did say, again, going back to that Bengals grade video that I mentioned, the Bengals did draft a center this year in the late rounds. I believe it was actually in the final round of the NFL draft. Matt Lee out of UCF and Miami. I forget where he ended up finally. I did that video so long ago, but Matt Lee is a center who I do think, after watching his film, and I say this in the video, I think he has some potential. I think he could be a draft steal, but I also really wanted Ted Karras to be there to coach him, and I wasn't confident about one season being enough, but I am confident that 2 seasons could be enough. If he isn't ready after 2 seasons behind Ted Karras, I'm not sure that he will be. And I love what the Bengals are doing. I think, if anything, this is about showing their players that they are going to be loyal to them into age. This is a new Bengals move. We've seen a ton of these in the last few years, with them being more aggressive in free agency, with the way they're doing things. We've different things that the old Bengals didn't do. And this is the old Bengals never would have extended a guy who's over the age of 30, or if they did, it was very rare. And the Bengals have already gone in on Ted Karras. I am super excited about this. The only way I could get more excited today about a Bengals related news story is if Jamar Chase signs an extension. I'm at like T. Higgins putting franchise tag. Like, if he signs his franchise tag, that's a huge deal. Don't get me wrong. I'll be back on here making another video, but this has me excited. I love Ted Karras. I love what he's done for the community. I love what he's done on the football field. I think he's a great player. Bengals fans, let me know what you think about the extension down in the comments. Once again, I'm sorry this isn't a super in-depth video, but I'm just like, this is my honest reaction. This is how I feel right now. I'm happy. I'm excited. My thoughts are all over the place, but I want to put this out here, and just get ahead of some other people who may be trying to knock the Bengals, because for whatever reason, the media likes to do that a little bit on no matter what they do. So I'm putting something out ahead of time saying, Bengals, good job. The old Bengals are dead. This is the new Bengals. Who they, who they, who they think gonna beat them Bengals? Nobody, because we have Ted Karras now through 2025. Let's go. Until next time, go do something nice for someone.